Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast, back in full effect. Got both of us here this time, and we are ready to talk some baseball. Although, I think there's a reluctance to talk some baseball this week. Maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see as we go. Just remember, even in the darkest times, we still love our teams.
That's true. We do.
Even when you're ready to kick them to the curb and go buy yourself somebody else's gear, at least for the rest of the season, jump on somebody else's bandwagon. Even in the darkest times, your team is still your team. You can find us on our social media pages, Sibling Rivalry and Blue Sky, SiblingRivalryBB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at SiblingRivalryBB with the A.
Normally, we rotate. So 1 week we start with the Dodgers and 1 week we start with the Angels. And then swap, right? Well, last week was the Dodgers to start. And after the Dodgers week last week, we thought maybe we need to start with them this week as well. Because I think somebody has a soapbox or two. It's got a platform. So let's go to the ravine.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
The questions really are, as posed by Houston Mitchell, is the magic gone? He wrote in one of his Dodger columns. And then Howard Cole, another Dodgers writer, wrote, it's always darkest before it turns pitch black. The question is, what is going on with the Dodgers? And we'll talk about what's going on that got you so fired up and frustrated and ready, maybe not completely ready to root on the dregs, but
never.
But maybe like, yeah, let's see if the Giants can make a comeback. So we're going to look at all that. The Dodgers we talked about ease of schedule last week. We talked about that this last series they played the Reds and they played the Diamondbacks. The Reds, a team that's right there on the edge of getting into the wild card. If they can, they've got to have things really go their way. Lots of wins and losses by the Mets to get there. Then they had the Diamondbacks, a fourth place team, followed by the Pirates, a last place team, the Orioles, a last place team, and then the Rockies are coming in, another last place team. So
the last place team of all of MLB.
They're already eliminated. In early August, they were eliminated from everything.
Yeah.
And so they're coming in. So you're thinking, hey, this is a good run to build up a lead. You maintained a lead. You took out the Reds. You held the Padres off. The Dregs are playing terrible baseball. So now's the time. Take advantage of the bad teams.
But the bad teams are like the Dodgers' kryptonite. They can't, it's the trap. because you think that team's in last place, just as you mentioned. They're last place. They're in last place. They're in last place. But they
no matter how
can't.
many times you say that they're in last place, it's not going to change the fact that the Dodgers sucked.
Yeah.
They have been since early July. They have like the 5th worst record in baseball.
Yeah. So the Dodgers are, since July 4th, this takes in account, recent games. They were 25 and 32. 25 and 32. They have the 14th. They're ranked 14th in starter ERA at 4.01, and then 19th in ERA for relievers at like 4.21. So a team that gave a starter a 3-year contract, $72 million, which is, big money for a reliever. I think was the highest paid reliever over the winter. And then you have these other guys that come in and they can't do anything. And that's the thing, is the Dodgers cannot play when they play teams that are sub 500 teams. They don't know what to do with themselves. They forget how to play baseball. They're inconsistent. They're unpredictable. Their offense is non-existent. Their defense is bad. They're dropping balls they should have caught. It just, you don't know from one night to the next what Dodger team are you going to get. You have no idea. And for a long time over the season, I think Dodger fans maybe had blinders on to a certain effect because it was like, Michael Conforto. He always comes up. I mean, when we went and saw them play the Mets in June, early June, it was tied game. It went into innings. Michael Conforto is in the batter's circle. You see him on deck circle. And the whole crowd was like, just like, Michael Conforto. And then they sent Will Smith in. Well, I mean, it didn't matter. The Mets end up winning that game. But at first it was like, Michael Conforto, he's horrible. And he has not been great. But it's like rubbed off on all the other players. And so instead we focused on just one player and we didn't look at the team as a whole. And the team as a whole, there's something fundamentally wrong with the team as a whole. And I think that was the best display of that was the game in Baltimore, Saturday's game. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who has been great on the mound. He's had a couple, hiccups here or there, but overall has been the best starter in the Dodger rotation, is throwing a no-hitter through 9 innings. 9 innings.
And 2/3.
Yes, 8 2/3.
1 out away. He's gotten 26 players out.
And I think what happens after encapsulates the Dodger season. Because
at least the last half of it.
So since July 4th, let's say that. It was embarrassing. Dave Roberts, I don't even know his name now. I'm so irritated with him. Call him whatever. Dave Roberts, he comes in. So Yoshi, he's at 112 pitches, which is a career high. And he gives up a home run. Okay. That stinks because you had this no-hitter. But immediately, Dave Roberts comes out, takes him out. Because you should be able to rely on your bullpen. They are relievers after all. You should be able to rely on your bullpen to get one out. And you cannot rely on the Dodger bullpen because they are unpredictable, inconsistent, infuriating, embarrassing. And Blake Trinan comes out and he comes in, gives up a double to center. That was Jeremiah Jackson. Gunnar Henderson is hit by a pitch. Ryan Mountcastle's walked. So the bases are loaded. And it's 3-0. Colton Cowser is walks in a run. Trinan's out. And who does Doc think is going to save the day? Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott's not going to save anything. Nothing.
Well, so he's proven, but that's why they got him. That's why they paid him $72 million.
Right.
Or
that's true.
Will by the end of his contract.
But the night before he came in, it was tied 1-1. He comes in because he's the reliever, gives up a home run, walk off home run.
Right.
And in his interview after the game, he says, it feels terrible. I have to figure it out because baseball hates me right now. It's like, no, Tanner Scott. Yeah, baseball hates you, but so do all Dodger fans hate you. Like, he's just, he stinks. He just stinks. And, I don't know what's going on with him, but he comes in and he gives up a 2-run single, scored 2 runners. The Orioles win that game 4-3. And like I said, that encapsulates, since July 4th, the Dodgers season. I don't understand why Yamamoto was taken out. He could have gotten that last out. Sure, he gave up the home run. That's on him.
And even there's conversation about that.
Yes, and that's the other thing.
Andy
Pages. Could he have caught that ball? I've watched it a lot of times. And I don't know if he would have caught the ball. However, the effort he made was pretty much non-existent.
Based on what you see and where the ball went out, it barely went out. In fact, the runner thought it was a double.
Right.
He thought it had bounced off a certain part and it was farther back. But just from things that you've seen before, plays in that same part of the field by other players, that you would have thought maybe if he'd have gone back there and went hard to go back there, if he hadn't gotten it, he didn't get it, but he didn't even try.
Right.
He watched it go over his head and bounce back. Now, I thought it was going to be a tough night anyway, but I thought that the Orioles were going to be more fired up because it was the 30th anniversary of Cal Ripken Jr. breaking Lou Gehrig's record for most games played, the Iron Man record. So I thought, okay, but it turned out it was all about the Dodgers. And honestly, when you look at it, if you go back to Pittsburgh, the first game, they actually could have won.
Mm-hmm.
They scored enough runs. They scored 7 runs in that game. But and 4 of the runs that Pittsburgh scored were all on Clayton. But Clayton had a bad first inning and then pitched well the rest of the innings he pitched. And then the bullpen let him down.
Right. And for Clayton Kershaw, this was something that I've watched him pitch a lot, but it's like the first inning, he has about a 6.5 ERA first inning, but then after that, his ERA goes down to 2. So probably like 2.5. So it's kind of like par for the course as far as like when he starts. But yeah, again, he pitched well enough that the Dodgers could have won that game.
And the next game, the Pirates sweep them. The first 2 games, it was more the pitching was fine in 1 and 2 overall, with the exception of the bullpen. There, the bullpen was fine in the middle game. Emmett Sheehan just gave up a couple of runs, but they couldn't put any runs on the board, and so there was the offense that completely failed in that second game. In the third game, it was Blake Snell fell apart, and they were pitching against the best pitcher in baseball right now,
Yeah.
in Paul Scanes. So that, and taking it as it is, like, well, okay, they lost to the Pirates. Oh well, you move on. Go to Baltimore, another last place team. But then you end up at the first 2 games are walk-offs.
Mm-hmm.
And both the first 2 games were well-pitched games by the starters.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is with...
Well, Shohei started. He wasn't supposed to start, but Glass now gets scratched. Shohei comes in, gives up 3 hits, but strikes out 5 in just a little over 3 innings, almost 4. And they hold them to 2 runs. The problem is none of the Dodgers can hit, other than they get a home run from Freddie Freeman, so that's good. A double from Mookie, but that's about it. 5 total hits, 1 run, which was Freddie's home run.
Mm-hmm.
They lose that in walk-off fashion, as you just described. The next night, they got a no-hitter, and they need 1 out.
1 out.
And at that point, if Yoshi's not going to get a decision, at least let him be the reason he doesn't get a decision.
Right.
He would have been more fired up to get it done, but both of them. Trinan, I should have got it out. That was the best game I'd ever seen pitched, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It didn't matter, all those things, because you didn't get the job done. If that was the greatest, then how come? And the same thing, Andy Pages. Okay, it's not his fault that they lost the game.
Right.
He could take some blame potentially for the loss of the no-hitter, but we don't know. Had he played that differently, he still could have potentially, and maybe he would have got injured on the play. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that aside, you're right. It was just like, and I think when they pulled him out, my thought process was they're potentially going to lose this game. And I went back to a tweet that I had done on our Twitter, not my personal, and it said, and I said, Yoshi could pitch 8 innings of no-hit ball and still lose.
And you were right. You were looking in the crystal ball. This was just, the Dodgers had a 99.5% win probability at that point. The Orioles had like 4%, maybe, if that.
0.5%.
Yeah, right. At 99, but yeah, 0.5%. It wouldn't even make sense, but it's just like,
well, you were an English major, not a math major.
That's true. I guess I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I was watching that game, and when he gave up the home run, I was like, okay. And then they take him out. Blake Trinan comes in, and I think after when he loaded the bases, I turned it off. I was like, I cannot watch this anymore. And I texted you and I said, I can't watch. I turned it off. And then you said, don't. Don't watch it. And I didn't. I couldn't do it because it was so infuriating. It was so frustrating because the Dodgers, they have base running mistakes, they have fielding problems, and in offense, we have seen them. How many times have you seen any of the hitters, any of the players work a count only to fly out, pop up, ground out?
Right.
Multiple times. I mean, it's like, what is, it's like, what's going on? Did they forget? And of course, people are like, well, the hitting coach needs to be fired. Well, Sunday's game against the Orioles, the Dodgers win that game 5-2, but there was a Mookie Betts hit what I think he thought it was a home run, but it hit off the wall. He gets a single out of it because he watched it.
Well, and even Shohei was spectating.
Yes. So it's like, what are you guys doing? You need to go back to Little League basics. And Dave Roberts, I think at some point while they were on the road trip, there was a meeting. But was there really a meeting, or was it we sit in a circle and hold hands? Because I feel like exactly. Dave Roberts has been a good manager. He is very much a people person. He has a good relationship with his players. But sometimes you need to say, what's your problem? You guys are all professional baseball players, but you can't hit, and you drop the ball, and you were looking when you should have been running, and you should have been doing he needs to be Tommy Lasorda yelling at him.
There's a scene in Bull Durham that explains what happened in that game, where he comes in, the manager's upset. Crash Davis told him to scare him. He throws all the bats into the shower.
Yeah.
And he starts yelling at him. This is a simple game, though, he said.
Yeah.
You throw the ball, you catch the ball, you hit the ball. That was all. Pay attention, run. Most of the time, Shohei's going first to third.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that time, Mookie's on second. But it really was, and it just kind of showed. Now, is this them coming out of that funk? Shohei had a couple of home runs in that game.
Yes.
They took advantage of Sagano, who most
of them
had never
Mookie
seen
did
before.
Yeah, and he did. I think Mookie did have a home run eventually in that game, or he had
he hit a home run too in the third inning.
But I think it's just they're doing things they're just like uncharacteristic of how they have played. Because you remember at the beginning of the season, and they were just on a tear, and they were like 8-0, and it's like, wow. And you can't really put a lot of stock in at the very beginning of the year, but you're excited because they're undefeated, and you're like, oh, this is it. And then as the season's gone on, it's like what's happening? So if we go back,
this is what you got to look at too, is that if they hadn't had such a great start, where would they be now?
Yeah, no, that's very true. Because you look at their record, and it's okay, but it's not Dodger quality record.
Not when the Brewers are at about 90 wins, real close to it, 89 or 90 wins, and they're at 78 or 80 by now, I think.
Yeah.
But something like that.
But yeah, 10 games are kind of set, 9-10 games separating
and
their
normally
wins.
When you look at it overall, it's the other way around. The Dodgers are up there at 90 plus wins, and the other teams are all battling to get up there with them. They're in that 80 win, at this point in the season with about 20 games left to play.
I mean, I even have noticed when watching the games, there's not that same, when they get on, and all teams do this, they all have some kind of something that they do, to the dugout, some kind of signal. You get a double, you do the Freddie, or you do the Shohei, I don't know, Pulp
I haven't
Fiction
seen them
thing.
doing that as much.
Exactly. The magic, something, Houston Mitchell's, where is the magic? And if you do see one of them do it, it's like half-hearted, like, yeah, whatever. There's something wrong. Like are they not a cohesive group anymore? Are they too busy doing their own thing? I don't know. 'Cause last year they were like, we're going to travel together. No, it's because a lot of times you have the families travel, but it was like, they can travel with us, but they got to be on a separate plane. We're going to be all together. They took a bus. Sometimes they'll drive down to San Diego. The players will. They're like, we're taking a bus to San Diego. We're going to be together. We're going to, watch we're going to watch games together. We're going to be together. And this year, it's like they had they had a falling out, of their friend group. And some people are friends and some people aren't. Some people don't like this person. It's like a junior high drama or something going on.
I did see something kind of funny, and I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but there's a thing on the bench, like they were filming, and Mookie and Shohei were talking to one another, and then they got up and walked and went down to the tunnel together, and then somebody put in, it's like, and it said Conforto's is in the clubhouse. And I don't remember if they said Shohei said that, and Mookie goes, "Let's go kick his ass." And they get up and leave.
You didn't send that to me, but there's just, the Dodgers are just frustrating. And so I know, I've said, the blackouts, I can't watch the Diamondback games, and they're playing the Rockies, and I can't watch those. I can, if there's ways to work around that. But to be honest, after the Baltimore series and even the Pittsburgh series, it's like, I need a break. I need a break
On the
from
Sunday
the Dodgers.
Game, I knew they started early.
Mm-hmm.
I made it a point. It was like 3.5 hours gone by. And before I ever looked to see what the score was, because I was like, I don't want to see that they lost. They lost with that series. They lost 5 series in a row.
Yeah.
They lost 5 series in a row. And, here it's like, if you get swept, so you get swept in Pittsburgh. And if it happens again in Baltimore, which, by the way, Baltimore has never swept the Dodgers in the history.
Yeah.
And still never have.
Never have.
Yeah, so it was really, we'll see what happens if once they play the Rockies,
Mm-hmm.
which they've had issues with before, but it's another last place team. Like I said, the only thing that they've got going for them is that the Padres have been playing bad baseball as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants are far enough behind that even though they've been playing great baseball, it's not they're probably not going to catch anything unless both of these teams completely fall apart.
And the thing that drives me crazy is they're like, well, the Dodgers, they're built for postseason baseball. Okay, maybe, but really, are they? Because we've seen them in the postseason, and we've seen them take a nosedive.
Maybe the Rockies or the Pirates or the Orioles. I would say the Orioles could be built for, by the way we saw them in a short series, they'd be tough to beat.
Mm-hmm.
If they're playing like they did versus the Dodgers.
Right.
Of course, the Dodgers in the middle game beat themselves.
Yes.
completely. They gave that away.
Well, see, but
But
that's
the
the
Orioles just kept playing. They never stopped, and that's the thing you got to be ready for. The Dodgers have the Giants. We
mhm.
talked about the Rockies. Then they go to San Francisco, and then they come back home to take on the Phillies, who stand between them and a wild card, being in a wild card, first round of the wild card, or
Mm,
um, getting a bye in the first round.
yeah. I, I yeah, and it's like, what do you want as a team? Do you want to go to the postseason, or do you have a mindset that we'll be in the postseason regardless? We'll be there,
Mm.
or is it we're going to be in the postseason and we're going to play to win? And the other thing is, you had every time, and I've mentioned this before, but this specifically, they get swept in Pittsburgh. Oh, I think it was Miguel Rojas. We've committed to, playing better, having fun. Because I think having fun when you're playing, I think that makes a difference. We're going to do that. And then they get swept. So then I think they talked to Mookie, they talked to Clayton Kershaw in Baltimore. It's like, yeah, I mean, Kershaw says we're too good of a team to be out of it. Well, yeah, exactly. That's right. But are you going to be? Because right now it just seems like there's no desire to 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 go beyond. And I know I said, it almost feels like they just don't even deserve to be in first place in the West at this point.
Well,
Um
you were like, you like said you wouldn't go as far as to root on the
no.
dregs, but if they made the, it was beginning to look like, and we'll see, it may continue to look like that instead of having potentially two Southern California teams, which the dregs have been there more often than not over the last few seasons, and the
Yeah.
Dodgers,
Mhm.
those two teams generally are in the playoffs, or the dregs are like real close to being in the playoffs. And we always have two teams from Southern California.
Yeah.
Um, and none of them are called the Angels. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's, the Dodgers have, like I said, they've got 7 more games against the Giants, who have been
Yeah.
playing very well. And then they got to take on the Phillies. And those may be the best games, but they've got to have this 10-game stretch that's coming up after the Rockies. They have to be right on top of it all,
Yeah.
or they might find themselves. I don't think that they're going to fall out of the wild card
Right.
because they're too far ahead. The only thing that they could do at this point is maybe swap spots with the Mets if the Mets went on a tear to finish the season. Um, but I don't think they're going to fall out of that wild card spot.
No, I don't think so either. But it's part of me is, when I said, they don't, I feel like they don't deserve to be in first place the way they're playing. And just the way everything, how they been presenting themselves on the field. And then you think, well, maybe the wild card would be a good place, because then you have to battle, and it's done. You lose, you're done. But would they?
That's the question.
Because that's
That's
the
the worst
problem. I
part.
don't think they would. I mean, at this point, the way things are, I don't think they would. So then I almost feel, I know they'll be in the postseason, but I almost feel like it would just be better if they aren't in the postseason.
Yeah, take off. But you know what's
Just
going to happen though? They're going to take off. The only one, well, not the only one, but the one that could tell them consistently, this is what it's like to never go to the playoffs, is Shohei, because
mm-hmm.
he's never been to the playoffs until last year.
Yeah.
He could say, well, having being off work at the end of September, you know, I mean, I remember stories. Jared Washburn of the 2002 Angels,
Mm-hmm.
was he always went hunting in October. He's from Wisconsin, and hunting season started, about a week or two after the end of the season. He's like, I missed hunting season this year because we had to go play in the World Series. I don't know if they could, if there's whoever they're playing in the wild card right now, they would play the Mets.
Right.
Would the Mets be hungrier than them? That's a team you can't ever tell. So,
Yeah.
but if you had, a team that gets in there and they're hungry and they want to do something, playing the way that they've been playing, especially the way that, in any series, that they've played, they've had too many issues, and it's not going to get easier for them. They still got to go to Arizona, and then they're going to play 3 to end the season against a team that may very well be trying to win the AL West because they're tight, the Asterisks and the Mariners, and they're going to have to go play the Mariners.
Yeah.
So
what will they do? I don't know. They're so frustrating. And I also hate at the end when they do the reporters come and they're talking to the guys, and they're always in hushed tones. Like, when you gave up that home run, how were you feeling? That, and you were in a one, you were at 2-1 count. What was your thought process? It's like, why are you talking like that? Like, this is a funeral. Like, you need to say, what's wrong with you? Why did you throw a pitch over the plate that you knew was going to get hit? Like, Tanner Scott's a perfect example, but he has come out and said, I think the problem is I throw too many strikes.
Okay.
And, but the thing with Tanner Scott is he's thrown them, they're just big fat pitches right to the middle of the plate. And Tanner Scott has been in 53 games. He has a 1-3 win-loss record. He's given up 10 home runs. He has a 4.47 ERA. He's 52 strikeouts. He has a 1.21 whip. His career high for home runs was 6, 2018 and 2021, and he gave up 9. Not 9. He gave up a combined, I can't read my writing, 6 home runs from 2023 to 2024. And then this year he gives up 10 home runs. He has 8 blown saves. That's a career high for him. And you want somebody to come out of the bullpen who you can count on, that is going. And Dave Roberts has nobody he can count on. And then he's like, well, they're going to have to show me. They're going to have to prove it to me. But who do you have? And I just think that there's something, there's something fundamentally wrong with the Dodgers. And I don't know. Obviously, it's the play on the field that we're seeing offensively, defensively, and whatever's happening in the clubhouse. I think just all the way around. And I think that Dave Roberts, needs to, I don't know, even if he yells and they chuckle at him and laugh at him because they're like, Dave never yells at us, but maybe something happens. I mean, they're all professionals. They make millions of dollars, some of them hundreds of millions of dollars. And there's no reason for a team that has Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, who has been like, we were all like, yay, we got it. We got Teoscar back. I still like Teoscar. I'm not saying that I don't, but he's been like, forgot how to play. I forgot, what is happening?
Now that you bring him up, since Mookie declared my numbers aren't going to be there for the season.
Yes.
So about 30 games worth, he has, since he kind of gave up on that stuff, he's hitting .328, 5 home runs, 12 walks, 8 strikeouts, 19 RBIs, 21 runs scored. Recently, Teo did the same thing. As far as my personal numbers are concerned, it's a wash.
So,
And so, can he do the same thing if he's going down the same path that Mookie's going down, and
mhm.
saying, "I got to stop thinking about those numbers and just play and
Yeah.
be happy and find the joy in playing."
Yeah, well, and maybe that's the thing is instead of worrying about your personal numbers and just playing the game and not worrying about your batting average, how many home runs you hit, whatever, worrying about are you going to win a batting title this year, which at some point it looked like maybe maybe for Will Smith, not at this point, maybe Freddie Freeman. Just play the game. And I think that's what the Dodgers have lost. They've lost the ability to just go out and play baseball. They obviously love baseball, they play it for a living. And I love watching them play. And I will always be a Dodgers fan. That regardless of how frustrated I am with them
In the
right now,
darkest times,
the darkest times, in the darkest times,
still the Dodger fan.
I am always a Dodger fan. Roki Sasaki, I don't know. He's been on a rehab assignment, has not looked great, looked better in his last rehab assignment. Dodgers go to the postseason. He could possibly be a piece there, but I don't know. I feel like he probably should have started the year in Oklahoma City because he just didn't seem like he was ready for the majors. Tommy Edman is back. Max Muncy's back. Alex Vesia is back. So both of those players, definitely Max Muncy and Tommy Edman, who hasn't had a great season, but a lot of it's because he's had that ankle issue. But if he can come back full strength, then that could be, that could be a catalyst for a turnaround for the Dodgers. But again, I think they just need to get back to playing the game that they all love and playing it because they love it and that they love to play in front of the fans and not, they're overthinking everything. They're overthinking it. And that's when you get stuff like what happened on Saturday.
All right, you got a player of the week from this mess you call your favorite team?
Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I'm going to go with him. One, I feel like that Tanner Scott needs to be set in the middle of the clubhouse, and if Yoshi wants to go and smack him a couple of times.
I say that he has to share that equally with Blake Trinan, because
No,
it
yes.
doesn't matter what Tanner Scott does.
No,
if Blake
you're right.
Trinan doesn't
That
load
both
the
of them.
And Blake Trinan he walked in a run.
Yes, I will. The reason I put more on Tanner Scott is because in the Arizona game, Yoshi was pitching in that game as well. Really good game, 10 strikeouts. Tanner comes in, blows the save, blown save. They end up winning the game thanks to Will Smith. But it's like, what is it about Yoshi that they can't get him offense, and then he gets the offense, and then the pitchers just, can't help him out. I don't know. So I'm going to give it to Yoshi because of his performance. It was one that obviously could have been for the books, and obviously it did become one for the books, but in not a good way.
Right. Not the reason you thought it would be. You know what? Because of Yoshi, my pick is because of Yoshi. It's not Yoshi, although he definitely deserves it. I'm going to go with a lot of people are upset about, but who's become the starting catcher thanks to Will being out day to day. And of course, we know Dalton Rushing had some issues. Ben Rotver, that
good. Yeah, that's a good pick.
Two games in a row, they were great pitching outings. He was right there. And Yoshi said Ben and I had never worked together before, but he gave a lot of the credit for that near no-hitter to Ben. So
I like that pick.
not a lot of reasons to spend a lot of time with the Angels. As far as we know, they're not going anywhere. Had they, at the deadline, when they didn't really make any moves, if there was something that they could have done from there to go on, they just didn't change the way they were playing ball. And I don't know why Perry thought that it would change. But I'm going to tell you right now, there was 3 series that we're going to talk about just briefly. They played Kansas City, they played Sacramento, and they played Minnesota, which just finished up yesterday with a day game there at the Big A before they head out on their last road trip of the year. They took the series from Kansas City, which if they're trying to gain ground in the wild card, that's a good team to beat because Kansas City's ahead of them. They lost the series to the A's, which doesn't help them since the A's are behind them, and then a great series versus the Twins, including the Tuesday night game where they did something that they'd only done one other time. So we'll talk about that in a second. But before we do this, we have been remiss in. I have 2 things. We have been remiss in not even announcing this, and the whole world knows. And in fact, it's probably dying down now, so we probably are going to keep it going now. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Oh,
Oh my God! And you had to figure that through the years, eventually something was going to work. But what kind of music? I don't know her songs. Honestly, I know one song from hers.
mm-hmm.
And it was a song she called Mean that she wrote about the whole thing that happened with Kanye at the Grammys that one time.
Oh, right.
So, and how many years ago was that? So you had to figure eventually something was going to stick, I guess. So what kind of music is she going to, I guess she's got a new album coming out. So we'll see what kind of music that is now that she's in a happy relationship. But what I want to know is Travis going to change his last name on his jersey, Travis Swift? Because does she go to Taylor Kelce? Probably not, but she's a billionaire.
Right, he's not. Yeah.
So it should only be, he's got to be, and what it made me think of when I thought about this was, he needs to get used to being Mr. Swift. Because when the next thing he's got is maybe this year, now the NFL started again, maybe this year they'll go back to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They are 0-1 to start the season, as I recall. But they've got that option, maybe, if they play well enough. And after that, the only other thing that he's going to have going for him is probably a trip to Canton, to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But everything else is going to be her. And it made me think of the Newlyweds. Remember Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey? They had on MTV, they had the reality show of their being newlyweds and setting up life and all that stuff. And they would go places, and one place somebody called Nick Lachey Mr. Simpson. Another place, they didn't know his name was Lachey. They called him Lackey. I think that Travis Kelce needs to get used to that's his life. He is not going to be like, oh, he's a Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame tight end. He's Mr. Taylor Swift.
Right, with his backstage pass.
That's right. Or maybe a backup dancer. Because didn't he do
Maybe.
that like in one of the shows? He came out and did some kind of part of her show.
Yeah. I don't.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so I couldn't. I was ready to talk Angels, and then it just bursted out that
You had to.
I
You had to
had to
throw
bring
it
that
out
up.
there.
And what I want to know is how long does this last?
That's one thing that I think a lot of people are wonder, because a lot of her songs, again, I'm like you, I know some songs, I don't really know a lot. But a lot of her songs are written because of, breakups, relationship issues.
Right.
So is she getting married to have her divorce tour or her divorce era or whatever she, to
Maybe that's the
have
thing.
all a new catalog of songs? And Travis Kelce is just the fall guy.
The
He's just
first,
he's the,
I don't know.
you know,
I wonder what I've not looked, but I've heard you don't get the Swifties mad at you about anything. And I was thinking, I wonder what they think
yeah.
because I haven't looked or heard, but I don't think it's going to last because I think
I,
that the minute that and it's going to be him more so than her, just
mhm.
because she's going to continue to be her and do her thing and go out and tour, and then he's going to realize I'm just a stage wife,
Yeah,
stage husband.
the stage husband.
All right.
Well, and did you notice how, now you got me thinking, how he dressed before he started dating her and how he dresses now?
Hmm.
So it's all about presentation for her. If you're going
Right.
to be with me, you got to dress like this.
Right.
And that's not how the
She
Kelsey
changed
brothers
her.
are. They're
No.
very, you know, middle America,
And imagine when his brother's kids find out, because I think his brother's got a daughter that's like all excited about
Yeah.
Taylor Swift being a member of the family. When that happens, she's going to hate Uncle Travis.
Yeah, it's going to be bad for him
I
all the way
hate
around.
Uncle Travis. All right. Let me just go on to the next thing. Okay. So the Angels are saying some good things, silver linings.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Adell is almost at 100 RBIs and potentially he'll hit 40 home runs this season. Uh, Taylor Ward, he's working on 100 RBIs as well. I think he'll be in the mid to upper 30s home runs. Zach Neto is in the mid 20s with his home runs. One thing that happened is that Zach Neto's been hitting leadoff, with the exception of a couple of games that Mike Trout was out, or as everybody was writing, scratched due to some kind of a skin infection or something.
Yeah, on his arm. I don't
Um,
know.
Scratched. Anyway, he ends up taking over the leadoff spot. And one thing that I was kind of surprised by, a couple things I found out. He hasn't um he's gone he still has a couple more games to go before he goes through his longest home run drought. He hasn't hit that mark yet, which kind of
I,
surprised me. I thought that he had already hit that. It's only been about like 25 games, and that's about where his longest drought was, which was way back in 2015. But Mike Trout leads the team in on base percentage at about 37%, a 370, roughly.
mm-hmm.
Um, and it was like, wait, it made sense because when I first saw it, I thought, why are you putting him? He strikes out all the time, but he walks a lot.
Yeah.
He's hitting singles. He's getting on base. So put him there. That is the textbook definition of a leadoff hitter. Somebody gets on base. They get on. They set the table there. You want somebody that's going to get on and go. And that's a good place for him because he's not hitting for any power. And also at that point that I had that, I also realized I don't know that I'm that much of a Artie Moreno hater. Not anymore. Because I started looking at it. If you're Artie Moreno, look at it from his standpoint. Yes, he's not a great owner. He doesn't want to put any money into the farm system, into player development and stuff like that. So that part he's shooting himself in the foot because he doesn't have to partly put anything into it compared to the amount he has to put into players. But you tell me, with the exception of Vladimir Guerrero, which big long-term contract has worked out for him? Yeah, you know what? Albert Pujols, a lot of people were upset about Albert Pujols, what happened when he was with the Angels. But, even though he did all of his main damage in the first 12 years of his career with St. Louis, he still hit 222 career home run. I mean, not career home runs, 222 more home runs on his route. He hit his 500th, he hit the 500th and the 600th while he was with the Angels. Yes, he had a lot of injuries. So think about it. Everybody talks about the bad Josh Hamilton was a terrible signing. He signs Albert Pujols, ends up not being a great signing overall based on the money that he paid to what Albert Pujols, produced.
Right.
CJ Wilson was signed the same time. Also, CJ Wilson, honestly, if you think about players like we talk about Rendon, CJ Wilson was already there before he was. He kept playing, but he got focused on race cars and other things.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of lost his focus on baseball. So, and then Rendon's contract, Pujols, then put on it. Yes, he's still there and he's still playing, but Mike Trout should still be producing, and he's also had so many years of injuries that if you're Artie Moreno, wouldn't you shy away from signing any big contracts?
Well, yeah. I mean,
I
you
don't.
would think.
I mean, I get it that some team, and right now, yeah, they need some pieces to help build. But one thing that has been proven in the time that Shanuel's been out, they need a solid first baseman. They need Shanuel back. There was a play in the versus the Twins where Orlando Peraza's at first base and he stretches out a little bit, but he couldn't stretch out enough and he couldn't handle the throw, which once again, Zach Neto, everybody's singing his praises, cannot turn it and get it and throw. He's always pulling people off the bag and Shanuel's bigger, got more reach. Peraza didn't, and they ended up a guy getting on. It didn't matter in the end, but it's those things. Luis Rengifo made a play where he went behind second base, was over towards short, and had to spin, jump, and turn, and had the ball right on. That's what we need from Neto every time.
Mm-hmm.
He's not that great yet. Stop filling his
Right.
head with it. He is.
Yeah.
He is doing really well. And honestly, let's talk about. So, Artie can sell the team or not sell the team. I no longer blame him for the state of things because I wouldn't spend that money either. And the other thing is, a lot of those players don't want to come anyway because they can see. Do you want to play for Ray Montgomery? I don't think so.
No.
Maybe you want to play for Wash, but that's a question. I wrote it down. Will Wash be back?
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's-
a big question.
Sorry, I had a bug in my face all of a sudden. That noise.
Like, what
That was
is
crazy.
happening?
Anyway, but even he said if Perry will have me, I want to come back next year. Well, I thought that was not that wasn't a doubt. I thought he would be back next year. That he was just out on medical leave.
Right. That's what when I saw that, I was like, what's he talking about? Of course he's going to be back.
And now
But
there's questions as to and something that made me think about Albert is that he's got that personal services contract and for 10 years, so he's connected in, and there's a lot of people talking about him being the Dominican Republic manager for the
yeah.
baseball classic, and he's doing stuff like that. Then maybe he'll be there. Torrey Hunter's been with the team and has been doing more with the team lately to get them going, and is part of the Joe Adele turnaround.
Yeah.
Taylor Ward has been playing well. I mean, these are guys. So if you leave things the way they are, Yohan Moncada has been, much better. So you've got and Rengifo. So there's still a couple pieces that you want to do. Teodosio, if you can teach him how to hit better, there's a lot of things that can go and make, and what you really need to do then is look at pitching. The pitchers have been consistent, and somebody said that Soriano was their best pitcher. Might have been you last week,
It
but
might have been.
but you're not wrong statistically speaking. He
Yeah.
can't pitch at home for some reason, but overall his numbers are the best numbers of all the pitchers. And when he has great outings, he has great outings. From a standpoint of consistency, and you say Kikuchi has had the same problems. He's thrown more innings. He's had that, but then when he's bad, he's really bad, and when he's great, he's been really good. The guy who's been consistent across the board has been Kyle Hendricks, who had a great outing versus the Angels or versus the Twins. The Angels scored 12 runs. All 12 were scored with at least 2 outs. That was the middle game. They lost the first one to the Twins. They end up winning the series, but that 12-0, and they were playing, and everybody, including the announcers, were talking about Zach Neto was moved to the third spot because he's got more power, more punch, can drive in more runs. And the first time up, he bunts. Sacrifice bunt. And they're like, what? I want this guy to hit. On Twitter, everybody was saying the same thing. They ended up scoring 2 runs because Ward got a base hit, and both Trout and the first two up, Trout and who was number 2? All of a sudden, I can't remember, but both of them scored, and it got the game going. And that's the kind of thing. Sometimes you got to do little things like that to shake things up. And that was, last night was a good game. If they can play like that and they can have consistent pitching, and they need not only they need outings like the 7 innings that Hendricks went. They need to have those outings where Kikuchi's doing 7 innings, Soriano's doing 7 innings, and then they need a couple other guys that are solid everyday pitchers that they can get without breaking a bank, but are guys that are right there on that edge of becoming superstars. The problem is nobody wants to go there because the Angels don't develop the people.
Yeah. And then when you do get somebody, or you think you got somebody in Rendon, it became this whole, well, I'm not going to go to Hollywood. But then he ended up not really going anywhere.
Yeah, who knows what he did? He just,
where is he?
And when you look at the list that says, oh, he could be back by the end of September, he's not coming back this season.
No.
And
I
then
saw
there's people saying, oh, he's going to play next year.
Yeah. Well, I did see something where it said he would be playing next year. He'll be playing 162 games on MLB The Show.
Right. I told you he couldn't even make it.
Yeah.
A video game.
He'd lose interest
So
in that.
the Angels have really they are going to be playing some meaningful games
Mm-hmm.
against teams that are all working towards making the playoffs. And the first one is going to start, in fact, started today, Thursday, with a 4-game set, their final 4 games versus Seattle. And they got to go up there and see if they can stop the machine that is Cal Raleigh.
Right. And Mike Trout likes to hit in Seattle.
Maybe he'll hit
so will he
those
get
two.
number 400? Will he get it?
Yeah, I don't know. You know,
'Cause it
right now
seems
that's got to
like
be a prop bet
It's
somewhere.
very elusive. 400 is.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be, and of course, when you're at a point like Mike Trout, they start making excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, probably something with his knee, because since he's been back, he's had, power issues. But he hit some home runs. You would think by now he'd be able to hit a couple.
Yeah, at
Maybe
least
he will
one.
in Seattle, because you're right. He's always hit very well there.
No.
Then they're going to be taking on the Brewers, who,
Yeah.
if you haven't noticed, have been having a hard time.
Yep. Been having a hard time. Yeah.
And
I
then
don't.
and then they go to play the Rockies, who they've had some great games versus the Rockies. Then they score like 100 runs against the Rockies a couple seasons ago. They're in Colorado, something
I'm
like
pretty
that.
sure it was like 101 or something like
Yeah,
that.
they were crazy, the number. And then they got to play the Royals again, which who knows where the Royals will set. But my guess will be down to the last 6 games. They're probably just going to be playing out the string
Mm-hmm.
because of that. And they're at home to finish up the season with the Royals and then the Asterisks. And depending on what the Mariners are doing, and the Mariners and the Asterisks still have another series to play.
Yeah.
That could be a really important series for the Asterisks. And so instead of the Angels fans getting to boo Correa for the last 3 days, they get to do it at the end of the season for the last 3 days of the season,
Yay.
the 26th,
Yeah.
27th, and 28th.
I mean, the Angels really could put a dent, some dents into the way things look in the playoffs. Here or there, they could be. I don't know.
The
Maybe a
problem,
spoiler, but I don't know.
we're talking about the Dodgers and how they've had no offense, and then
Mm-hmm.
their pitching not being there, especially the bullpen.
Yeah, the bullpen's bleh.
The Angels can have the offense there, the starting pitching there, and then fall apart and lose games that they should have won because of bad play.
Yeah.
Because they start making lots of mental errors, poor defense, things like what happened with Peraza. He had a couple of different times. When you don't have anybody, they brought a rookie up, Davidson, who played for him on Wednesday, who's a little bit better, but you need some solid backup, and they have no depth overall. And that's the other thing. The one thing that the Dodgers have been fighting with because of their issues with injuries. But when you look at their team, they've had depth, and the Angels don't have that. And that's with everybody coming back. The Dodgers reestablished some of that depth. Now, will it matter? We don't know. If people aren't hitting, they're not hitting. Doesn't matter how deep it is.
Right.
And if the guys that are out there, if Alex Call is on the bench or Hyesung Kim's on the bench more often than not, and they're hitting better than than Conforto or Miguel Rojas or whoever, then that's a Dave Roberts issue.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah, yeah. Because the runway, It's
closed.
It's closed. It needs to be. It's closed for renovation.
That's right. You know what? They're repaving the runway.
Yes.
Speaking of runways, who took off as your player of the week for the Angels?
I probably, looking at everything, I went with Joe Adele. I think that's the easy pick, but I know over 10 games, he had a 316 batting average. He had 12 hits, 5 home runs, 12 RBIs, 6 runs scored. I just really like seeing how he has evolved as a player because
Yes.
he very much has been, I'm Joe Adele, I'm the best, to getting sent to Salt Lake,
He's Zach
and
Neto. He's the best. I'm just the right fielder.
I'm just here, and coming into his own and just playing baseball.
Yes.
And that's what he's been doing. So I went with Joe Adele.
I don't think, for all those, remember when we started this podcast, we went for so much time it was either Shohei or Mike Trout. Shohei or Mike Trout. And every once in a while somebody else would jump in. And we kept wanting or kept looking, as much as critical as I was of Joe Adele.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, trade him, send him, and maybe that would have been better for him. He's now at that point where he's getting all the things. So if he's our weekly player of the week, and like this next week's going to be tough to put him in there, depending on what he does. I didn't look to see what he did today, but he was out for a couple of games because he has issues with vertigo.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
tough.
that kind of took it down, and that's unfortunate that he had to miss a couple of games, especially when he's on such a tear.
Yeah.
So yeah, they like I said, so yeah, Mariners, Brewers, and Rockies before they come back home. So a long road trip, and then home for the Royals and the Asterix to finish out the season and finish playing up the string. But not only do I agree, Joe Adele is the player of the week, but he has been more so than anybody else, definitely the silver lining for the Angels this season. I guess you could say Zach Neto, but I think more so Joe Adele has become.
I think so. I think Joe Adele. And I just want to throw this stat out there too. Andrew Chafin, when he was picked up at the trade deadline, and it was like, really? You got Andrew Chafin? But since he's been with the Angels, he's pitched 31.2 innings. He has 1 win, he has 1 save, but he has a 1.48 ERA and 32 strikeouts. So, he's in there, he's a relief pitcher, but he hasn't been, it's been good, right? He didn't come in and, blow up and then go back in the clubhouse and get a beer. He's actually pitching well, which I think a lot of people didn't have that expectation.
I didn't. I had no expectations, but I believed that in the bullpen, he and Luis Garcia would be kind of like columns. That the other guys around them, and then Kinley. That it would give the bullpen a little more stability. They may not always be great, but it would be more stable. And I think that the bullpen mostly, Reed Detmers had fallen off. He has his time. And the bullpen does have their issues. But those guys you can pretty much count on, especially Chafin, to come in, do what he's asked to do, and hold on to it. The rest of it he can't control. But if he can put a stop to whatever's going on and not give up a lot of runs, then that might steady the rest of the team. So something to be said about that. And, unfortunately, he'll be in the wind at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But, you're right. I think he's somebody that we've overlooked, and we should give him a little honorable mention there.
Yeah.
Jana, how do you like our rental bullpen cart, while our original is still undergoing F1 modifications.
It's pretty nice. It's kind of crazy because you just push this button, but then you don't. It's like a hybrid or something, and so you don't even know that it turned on.
Reminds me of something else. Yes.
Me too.
It's a cool little one. We'll deal with it this week, and hopefully everything is done with the F1 bullpen cart next week. But for now, let's head around baseball. And as always, we started off with the players of the week. Take it away.
In the American League, a guy that we just talked about, Joe Adell, is the American League Player of the Week. He hit .407, had 5 home runs, 12 RBIs in 7 games. And in the National League, Hunter Goodman do you know where Hunter Goodman's from? Where he plays? Colorado Rockies.
Colorado Rockies, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
The two players of the week are going to meet up here in about a week.
He had a .476 batting average, 500 on-base percentage, and 1,000 slugging percentage. He had 3 home runs, 10 RBIs in 5 games. So nice to see Joe Adell being honored. And of course, the Rockies, even though they're eliminated and they could potentially break a record or tie, not break, tie, maybe.
There's only about 20 games left, so they'd have to lose out.
That's what I mean. It's potentially they could. I don't know they will.
The White Sox won't relive. They could break the 100 loss mark.
So I guess so what I'm saying is it's nice to see that the Rockies have good players.
2 players from last place or poorly performing teams overall.
Yeah. Yes, but playing well. And then because it is a new month, we have players of the month. And we will start in the National League. The player of the month, Bryce Turing of the Brewers. He hit .343, had 10 home runs. He had an MLB leading OPS of 1.092. He had 11 multi-hit games during the month. He hit safely in 13 of his final 14 games. And a 193 OPS plus. Best in the majors among hitters with at least 100 plate appearances. And in the American League, we go to the A's, and Shea Langoliers is the player of the month with a .661 slugging percentage, top in the American League, a .968 OPS. He was ranked second. 11 home runs. 3 of those home runs came versus the Nationals. And he had an AL leading 72 total bases.
Yeah, he had a good series against the Angels as well.
Yeah,
especially leading off in the second game where the A's beat the Angels 17-4. He went 3 for 6 with 2 RBIs in that. So yeah, he had a double and a stolen base. So yeah, he definitely catchers leading off. Crazy.
Yeah. National League Pitcher of the Month, we head to Milwaukee and Freddie Peralta. Opponents hit .117 against him, the lowest mark in baseball during the month of August among qualified pitchers. He was 4-0, which was an MLB best, a 0.32 ERA. He allowed 1 run in 28 innings. 11 hits were allowed during the month, and they were the fewest of any qualified starter in the majors, and he has 0.82 whip. In the American League, we head to Baltimore, and the honor goes to Trevor Rogers. He was 4-1 over the month of August with a 1.29 ERA, an MLB high of 42 innings. He allowed just 6 earned runs all month. The opponents had a 199 batting average against him. He has a 0.86 whip. He pitched 7 or more innings in 5 of the 6 starts, and he also pitched the major's only complete game of the month on August 1st versus the Cubs. Probably of the year. I mean, right? It just seemed like you just don't hear about that very often.
Nope.
National League Rookie of the Month goes to Jacob Marcy of the Marlins. He debuted on August 11th. He has hit 352 with a 1.059 OPS, had 11 doubles, 37 hits, and 25 RBIs. In the American League, the honor goes to Roman Anthony of the Boston Red Sox.
Of course.
He had a 304 batting average, 390 on base percentage, and a 520 slugging. 6 home runs. He led all of American League rookies with 31 hits and 53 total bases. He also had 12 multi-hit games in August, which was the most of any MLB rookie. And last but not least, the National League relievers of the month. Raisel Iglesias of the Braves. 0 is the National League reliever of the month, 0.69 ERA with a 0.62 whip. In 13 appearances, he allowed just 1 earned run. He struck out 13 batters and issued 0 walks, and he has a MLB best of 10 saves over the month. And in the American League, we head to Boston once again. This is no surprise. Aroldis Chapman is the reliever of the month. 34 batters retired. 34 batters. He retired 33 of them. 1 walk with a 0.09 whip and a 0 ERA. 14 strikeouts, 8 saves. The Red Sox went 10-2 in games in which he appeared in. And those are the players of the month, MLB style.
Yeah, right on. All right. So we're thinking about, you got the playoffs are coming up just, about 3 weeks away. And we know the teams that are playing there. But I was thinking the other day about who would make it to the World Series, just based off of, this, what everything was looking like. And I got to thinking that an interesting World Series would be Seattle versus Milwaukee. 2 things. Seattle's never been to a World Series. Milwaukee has, but they've never won. So a new winner that's never won before would win. Be one thing. But do you know what the historical significance is? The kind of the gee whiz, for me anyway, is about this?
No, I don't. I'm waiting.
The Milwaukee Brewers became that in 1970. Do you know why?
No.
Was an expansion. It was because the Seattle Pilots moved to Milwaukee. So the original team in Seattle, Pilots, are now the Brewers. And if Seattle played that, then they would be playing the first team that ever played in Seattle. So if the Brewers make it, it's not like the Mariners could go back and say, let's have a Legends night or something to go back to the old Seattle Pilots. because they're technically playing the Seattle Pilots.
Oh. Yeah,
Didn't think about that, did you?
I didn't. I did not.
Anyway, so that was just my thought on that as to why that would make um, an interesting World Series just from that standpoint. You got any picks?
I really have been thinking. I mean, I know they've kind of faltered somewhat, but I think that the Brewers, if they could get the burger power going, I think they could go to the World Series, but they don't have a lot of power. They don't hit home runs, and they need but their bullpen has been good. Obviously, Freddie Peralta has been good, but can they put it all together, play small ball, and win the World Series? But I feel like it could be their year, and I feel like it would all be, because of Bob Uecker. Like, it would be for him
But
that they
isn't
win.
that the thing once again
Yeah.
where think about we had two guys go into the Hall of Fame this year that both
Mm-hmm.
passed away before. Dave Parker just recently.
Yeah.
But these guys passed away before they got to be enshrined, him and Dick Allen.
Right.
Bob Uecker was the announcer for the Brewers for how many years?
Yeah.
Decades. And, now they're in a spot where they could go and maybe win the World Series. I mean, who knows? But it's like, why did you wait till he was gone?
I don't. Yeah. Let him see it while
They
he's
needed that
here.
supernatural power.
Maybe. I don't know. I just feel like maybe this could be it. But I think for me, this season, and I was thinking about this, has just been, this baseball season has just been kind of meh. There last year you had Shohei Ohtani 50-50, and it was like exciting, and everybody was talking about it across all platforms, like all sports, other sports. You had LeBron James talking about it. People were talking about it. And the trade deadline, the players that the Dodgers got, there are other teams that picked up. And this year, trade deadline, boring. It's like, why do we even bother to, look at our Twitter every 5 seconds to see if something happened? There have been no hitters at all this season, and we're getting close to the end of the season. I don't know. There was almost, there've almost been some no hitters. But if there is no hitter, it would be the first season since 2025, 20 years. The last
2005?
2005.
Yeah, I thought you said 2025. Sorry.
Oh, no, I said it's 2025, 20 years. Anyway.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And then the last one that was thrown was August of 2024. Blake Snell threw that one. You do have Cal Raleigh, who has hit 53 home runs, but like his slugging is 574. He's got a 240 batting average, but they're like, is he deserving of being the MVP because he hit 53 home runs? He's a catcher. You have Kyle Schwarber, who's at 50, but it just seems like this season has just been kind of.
Well, I mean, that happens. You can have like a down cycle.
Yeah. And that's just, I don't, it just is. It just seems like it's a down year for those exciting things to happen in in baseball. So was thinking about that. Like, don't you think like the baseball season has just been kind of, I'm still going to watch. Don't get me wrong. But it just hasn't been as exciting. Exciting and new. I don't know. That's what I said. Thought made me think of that. Oh, the Love Boat. Anyway. Do you remember watching Love Boat? You watched
Yeah.
Love Boat and then you watched Fantasy Island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always remember that.
Yeah, we watched it in the living room together as family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was family TV time
That's right.
every Friday night.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever wonder what happened to Anthony Rizzo after? Did you ever wonder what happened to Anthony Rizzo after the World Series?
No, I didn't.
He just left. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we talked a little about at one point I thought I had read that he had been signed by the Pirates. But obviously that didn't go through, or that wasn't true at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that he has announced his retirement. So he is retiring, and it will be happening on Saturday. He will retire as a Cub. So most likely he will be signing that 1 year he'll be signing a 1 year contract, a 1-day contract. Yeah, he gets there and he's like, "What do you mean 1 year? I said I'm retiring." 1 day contract. And then he's going to become a team ambassador for the Cubs.
So he's going to do the personal services thing.
Yeah.
Basically, by being a team ambassador. You know what's funny though is I saw him, and I think I sent you a thing too, but I saw him in the stands at the Tigers Yankees game in New York, and it was like, oh, there he is. Interesting. I thought he would get signed somewhere, but I guess that. And you said, didn't he retire? And like an hour later, I saw on the thing, he's retiring. He just announced it.
It's like, whatever happened to him? He's kind of laid low after that fifth inning.
Well, whatever he does, he was chugging beers in the and yeah, that's been it. That way, nobody can get mad at him. I'm surprised he was at a Yankees game then, because they're probably still upset about that. Well, whatever happens, he's assured that he won't ever end up on the wheel. Oh,
I knew it. I was waiting. I was like, I'm not going to start. Okay. In Atlanta, Sean Murphy is on the 10-day IL with a right hip labral tear. That sounds not
sound good.
I really probably not going to be back for the season. In Boston, Dustin May is on the 15-day IL.
So he's done for the season.
He's done. And he is on the IL with right elbow neuritis, which is a common nerve disorder that involves inflammation of a nerve or a group of nerves, which can cause pain or like different sensations in that area. So not good for a pitcher. And then Jordan Hicks is on the 15-day IL with a right shoulder tendonitis. In Chicago, on the north side with the Cubs, Kyle Tucker has a left calf strain, is on the 10-day IL. In Houston, Luis Garcia is on the 15-day IL with the right elbow discomfort, and he had been out like almost 2 years after having Tommy John surgery. This was his second time pitching and came out of the game, is now on the IL. In Anaheim, Logan O'Hoppe is on the IL on the 7-day with because of concussion protocol. He got hit. Was it on a backswing or by a
practice backswing got him under the chin.
Yeah. And then Ryan Zephyrjohn is on the 15-day IL with right knee tendonitis. In LA, Dalton Rushing is on the IL. He fouled a ball off of his calf, shin area, kind of right there on the side, and he has a deep bone bruise. In Toronto, Bo Bichette is on the 10-day IL with left knee pain. And then these are two big ones. In Philadelphia, Alec Boehm is on the IL with shoulder soreness, and Trey Turner on the IL with a grade 1 hamstring strain. And that is the will of IL.
We are sorry to announce that former manager and player, in fact, I saw him play as a player, Davey Johnson, has left the world. He was 82 years old, died back on September 5th. You might remember him as managing the Mets to a World Series, managed the Reds, he managed the Nationals, managed the Dodgers, and had quite a good career. Like I said, I saw him play as a player back in the 70s. 13-year career at that. 27.5 WAR, 261 career average, 136 home runs, 609 total career RBIs.
And the day that he died, there were some coincidences. They're kind of crazy when you think about it. So, one, he was the last hitter or player to homer off of Sandy Koufax in the 1966 World Series. As you mentioned, he managed the Dodgers. He also managed the Orioles. They were playing each other.
He played for the Orioles for many years as well.
Yes. So they were playing each other in a series. And then he managed the Mets. He managed the Reds. They were playing that in a series that started there that day. And the last team he played for was the Cubs. The last team he managed was the Nationals, and they were also playing each other on that day.
It's like planets lining up.
And I guess I do need to make a correction. Sorry. So I said a home run. He was the last player to get a hit off of Sandy Koufax. It was a single. So sometimes elevate it, but it was a single off of Sandy.
So condolences go to his family, and sorry to see him go. All right. So imagine you live in a different state, like you live in a different state from your favorite team.
Yes.
But imagine that you go on vacation, you go, whether you came to LA, you've gone and seen them play in Denver, but let's just say you come out to LA to see your team play. Mm-hmm. And in that process, you have your family, summer vacation, you come back, you're seeing maybe you used to live in the area, you come back and you're out there and you get a ball lands in your general area and you run over and grab it and you give it to your son.
Yeah.
I mean, That sounds like a normal day at the ballpark. Now, you wouldn't expect anything else to happen. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, cool. And imagine that you traveled, say, to Philadelphia and you live in Florida, even though you grew up in Philadelphia, and you come up to see the Phillies play while you're there, and you get this home run ball and you give it to your son, and moments later you are accosted by some lady you've never met, and she's yelling at you because you got the ball.
Yeah. I, the whole situation is crazy. So it happened at in Miami. The Marlins, the Phillies were visiting the Marlins.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
thought it was
go
in Philadelphia.
now. Yeah, in
I
Miami.
knew they were playing
But
each other, but I
but
thought
there are
he
a lot
was.
of Philly fans, there. Because a lot of people have moved to Florida, have been, from New Jersey, Pennsylvania. They moved down to Florida, and so they have roots up in the Northeast. But anyway, so they're both Phillies fans.
Wow, I don't even want to tell the story anymore. I messed it up so bad.
No, you got
Well,
it
the
just
reason that I thought that it was because the lady who came over to yell at him
mhm.
was wearing a Phillies jersey. So I was assuming they were in Phillies, but no, they were at. I should have known that, the Lone Depot.
Yeah, the Lone
Yeah.
Depot, and they were Phillies fans.
Right, that part I
And
knew.
that's the thing. But she's a Phillies fan, and the thing is you watch the video, it was a home run Harrison Bader hit. And we have been in those situations. I mean, most of the time, if a foul ball's coming, near, I am not getting into that. I'm not going to get into that, fray of people, because you could get hurt. And I just, that'd be nice to have a ball, but I don't want to get up. I don't, I don't want to get over there. Um, and why is even an unwritten rule, but people who, you catch a foul ball, and usually, if there's kids, you give it to the kid. But this lady, she wasn't even, I don't even think she touched the ball. I don't even think
She was
it was in
leaning
the
over, but
right, but
I
it was
don't
in,
think she'd gotten it.
no. And there were other people who were also leaning over. That
Yeah.
guy gets it. He goes back to the other side, and it's his son's birthday, or they were celebrating his son's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Gives it to his son, hugs his son, nice moment. And then she comes over and just starts yelling at him. If you look at the video with him, the dad, he's startled because he's like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Why are you screaming at me? A lot of people said he should have kept the ball, and he should have, told her off. But his thing was, my kids are here, my son's right here. She's screaming, she's screaming at me, but my son is right here. I'm going to diffuse the situation. This ball is not worth her, screaming and yelling at me. Here, have the ball. If it means that much to you, have the ball. So that's
Right.
what they
Well,
did.
it actually works out better.
It does, but she goes back to her seat. People are booing her. She Another person that was sitting closer to her probably said some things to her she didn't like. She goes down to that person, yells in his face, and then flips off the whole crowd. So like, but it works out in the
Maybe that's
family's
why I thought it
favor
was happening in
in Philadelphia.
Philly.
Yeah, it seems like a Philadelphia thing.
Well, I mean, she's a Phillies fan, so maybe she was just
Yeah,
visiting South
yes,
Florida.
yeah. But it works out in their favor. The Marlins get a nice like goodie bag full of Marlins gear, give it to the family. But the best part is the Phillies. Of course, they see what's going. They find out they are they set up a meet and greet with Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader signs a baseball bat for the kid, and he gets to meet Harrison Bader, who had hit the home run. So ultimately, it worked out for, that family. But it's really crazy. I think it just shows how people get so crazy over, it's a baseball. Yeah, it's cool to have a baseball, like, oh, look, I got this, as a home run. And we've seen baseballs that are, they're auctioned off because they happened at a specific moment. Shohei's 50th, home run last year. Or Hank Aaron's, 715, whatever. They're significant and they're auctioned off. But in the scheme of things, is a baseball really that important? It's going to sit on a shelf. And what did you do? You went and screamed in someone's face, and you became a villain of the baseball season, where you have even the Savannah Bananas had somebody dressed up as a Grinch that was stealing balls from people in the stands. And now, they have the Spirit of Halloween stores. I don't think this is a real thing, but it'd be really cool if it was. They do have a wig and the glasses, the Phillies jersey and jeans as a Halloween costume.
The Phillies Karen,
The
as
Phillies
they call
Karen.
her.
I would be embarrassed. I wouldn't want her to be a fan of
Right.
like, you are
And-
no longer allowed to be a fan of our team.
Apparently, people have been trying to find her, and Drew Feltwell, which is the man, did come out and say, "Don't do anything to her."
Yeah. No.
She's been misidentified a couple times, and people have had to say, "No, that's not me."
Right. I wasn't there.
He said, please don't do anything to that lady. Leave it alone. Somebody knows her and can talk to her. That's different. But God, I don't want people breaking in their house and stuff like that, because people have told her told him they were going to get the ball back for him. Said the internet
Yeah.
already messed her up pretty good. So that's nice
Yeah.
that he said that. And, there's no reason, at that point she did what she did. And, that's one of those times though, where maybe the Marlins should have said, okay, you're no longer allowed at the stadium.
Yeah. I mean, and that's happened with some fans that have gone over the top in doing things. But
All right.
yeah, don't do that. Just don't do that. If you get the ball. That's awesome, and but don't not be close to it and then go and yell at the person who got it. Like, just don't be that person. Enjoy the game.
I could see it if she had it in her hands and then
And
he
he
went and
took
took it out,
Yeah.
but they were all down there scrambling. He ended up with the ball, and it didn't look
And
like he had a fight.
Yeah,
to
it's a
get
free
it.
for all. It's a free
Yeah,
for all. And it's not it's not like when that ball landed, it's like, oh, it landed near me, it's mine. It's people rush over, from all over. So,
All right, so I have one last thing, and this is
okay.
something we don't normally do because we don't allow certain things of the outside world to filter in. But I this kind of set with me a little weird, and not so much because this will happen, because I'm pretty sure it won't, not in the way that this person wants it. But recently, somebody who's used to getting their way, and when they don't get their way, they make a big deal out of it. And somebody who, if you're their friend, they're the first one because they believe they have a lot of power that they can force people into doing things. And, they're not the only one that does that. But recently, after playing golf with Roger Clemens, President Trump came out and said, Roger Clemens needs to be in the Hall of Fame right now. Not when it's appropriate, not when, because as he does, he does say things and expects that you're going to override everything because he said so. And I just wondered, you know, aside from the fact that Clemens, he may someday make it into the Hall of Fame, but at this point is still under the cloud of PED use. What was your thought process when you heard that?
I saw it and I was like, no, and just moved on because I thought,
Well, that's what I
you
said
know,
too, but I was like, does he not get that of all the things in the world, there's things he can do to manipulate and make things happen in his way or, for whatever reason. But baseball and pushing somebody to be in there just because you like the guy, well, let me go be your friend. Can you get me into the Hall of Fame? I never played, but I've been a
yeah,
fan my whole life. Can you
yeah,
get something
there
like
should
that?
be a
I just thought it was
fan
like,
Hall of Fame.
why do you think that that's, it was like, and are there people out there that believe that because he said it, it should just happen?
That it would happen. Yeah, I don't know. When I saw it, I kind of was like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. That's not happening, and moved on. But I think, yeah, he does have a tendency to say things and be like, this needs to happen. And then he says it and, nothing happens. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, obviously with Pete Rose, I think that was different because we believed he should, be in the Hall of Fame. But
Well, and Trump thought that as well.
right.
And
But there
then,
were people who felt that because he had meeting with the commissioner and that it was him that did the whole, was behind all of that. And maybe it gave maybe Manfred a little push. I don't know. But
right.
yeah, I don't believe that Roger Clemens should be in the Hall of Fame,
And
regardless of what the
even if he
president
did,
says.
not until he's rightfully placed there through the process.
Right. Yeah.
A
You can't just
veterans
put him in there.
committee or something like that, not just because I said so.
Right. Yeah. It would be nice if we all could just, well, I said so, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I would have won the Powerball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have been
A lot
sitting
of people.
here from my new studios and my billions.
Yes.
And that'll do it. That wraps up this week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast. We are heading towards the playoffs, so all of these series that are coming up with teams that are fighting for the playoffs are going to be even more important. So make sure you catch some of that baseball. Pay attention to see if your favorite team is going to make it, or if your favorite team can maybe stop somebody else from making it. And check out our social media, Sibling Rivalry BB, without the A, on Twitter and Blue Sky.
And on Instagram and Facebook at SiblingRivalryBB with the A.
With the website, SiblingRivalryBB.com, and you can get all your favorite pro team gear. The NFL started up, so you can get your favorite team's gear, especially when they have new stuff, always comes out at the beginning of the season. And, of course, your favorites from any of your baseball teams and college teams. It's all there on the Fanatics link at SiblingRivalryBB.com. Like I said, check out some live baseball. You still got time if there's someplace near you. Go see some baseball, watch it on TV, and get ready for the playoffs. Until next week, remember, even in the darkest times, baseball's there. Even in our best days, baseball is always there. And remember, no matter what you do, don't forget to swing away.